Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and my OCD got the best of me. This card is actually already on my blog. It went up last night. I am coming down with a head cold. Life is in the way as usual. But the card went up because it was a timed post for the Color Throwdown challenge, and I didn't get the video edited, but I couldn't not post the video. Like I said, OCD. So here it is. I'm using my favorite things, the new Make Yourself at Home stamps and dies. And I've shown this in a few videos. I've also done a separate quick tip video about lining up the images with the die set so I don't have to cut apart the coordinating dies so that I can stamp them where they're located and then just put the dies over top and cut it. Sorry, like I said, head cold, my brain is fuzzy. But I use my mini Misty to stamp these onto some distressed watercolor paper. I'm stamping on the smooth side, and I stamped the images with VersaFine Onyx black ink, which takes a little bit of time to dry, which was perfect, so I poured some clear embossing powder over that. It's not a necessary step, but the nice thing when an image is embossed, when you go into watercolor, it's got those raised edges. So it just helps keep things a little more contained. You don't have to be as careful to not go outside the lines, that sort of thing. And plus it gives that nice, like, shiny raised edge. So that's why I chose to do that today. And then, like I said, this is for the Color Throwdown Challenge, which was like a bright blue, a kind of a craft color, gray, and white. So I had to do a blue love seat. I would love to have like a royal blue. I think that would just be fabulous. So I used my 3 different colors of distress ink. I used Blueprint Sketch for the blue. Again, love. Pumice Stone for the gray, and then the brown was Brushed Corduroy. And I just smushed my little mini ink pads right onto the stamp packaging that I have, or the stamp pocket that I keep the stamps in. Any non-porous surface is going to work. And then I'm just picking up the color with my silver size 4 brush and getting it really good and wet. And I did a couple layers on the love seat. I wanted it a little more intense. And then just went into the rest of the areas and filled them with color. Super simple. The one thing I noticed after this was dry is I was a little too heavy-handed on the little rug there. I had way too much liquid, and you can see as this goes on, like, it's starting to seep underneath the stamped and embossed line. And I didn't notice this till I was done, and I was like, oh crap, I did not have time to redo it. I was so behind on this. So I decided, like, oh, you know what? This rug is going to have a blue border. That's going to work. So I just smushed more of the ink pad onto the transparency, picked it up with a brush, and painted a blue border on this little rug. Instead of having the white border when I die cut it, it's going to be blue. And that pretty much kind of covers up the unfinished edge of that. So then I set it aside to dry. And then for my card base, I decided to go with a 4-bar sized card. So I took a full sheet of heavyweight white cardstock and I cut it down to 3.5 inches and then 9 3/4 inches. And then I'm scoring it at 4 7/8 inches, which creates a 4-bar sized note card, because a 4-bar note card is 3.5 by 4 7/8 inches. I get asked that a lot. I don't do these a ton. I usually stick to the standard A2 size, but when you make them a 4-bar size like this, it just makes smaller images pop out a little more, in my opinion. And I generally usually will just put these in a standard A2 size envelope, whatever works. You can get 4-bar size. Lawn Fawn makes 4-bar sized envelopes, and I do have some, but more often than not, I just pop these in a regular A2 envelope. Doesn't bother me at all. Anywho, I covered the top of the card where the fold is with some Post-it tape, because I didn't want to get any ink on, like, basically what's going to be the back of the card. And then I taped down the My Favorite Things Cascading Scallop Stencil. Tape that down to hold it flat onto my card front, and then I just lightly sponged that same pumice stone ink onto it to kind of create the idea of, like, you know, pattern wall or wallpaper or whatever. So I kept the ink concentrated kind of in the center, let it fade out to white on the bottom, and then let it kind of fade out a little bit on the edges. And then I trimmed off the extra watercolor paper there because I can use that for something else. There was no point die cutting all those pieces that I wasn't going to use. And then you can see I just adhered that entire die set over the stamped images, and it die cut them all perfectly in one pass. Saves me a ton of time. And then before I get to finishing the actual scene, I grabbed my mini Misty again to line up the sentiment I wanted to stamp on the front of the card. That's the one thing I love. I love this stamp set. There's some really fun, unique sentiments in this set. Like, I said that in my blog post too when I posted the card. It gives you so many occasions, and anyone who knows me knows I'm a sucker for sentiments. I did an entire line of just sentiments for the longest time, which is now retired. That's a whole other story. Anyway, I flipped over the card, stamped the inside, and just stamped that left seat again using that same blueprint sketch ink. I could have stamped it twice to get like a perfectly stamped image, but on the insides of cards, I don't feel the need to make like any colored stamping I do perfect. So I was happy with that. But the sentiment I always want stamped perfectly. So I lined up the sentiment I wanted to use and stamped that with that same VersaFine Onyx Black. And then I used my Teflon bone folder again just to make sure that fold is really good and crisp. And then to create my scene, I just adhered everything down with Tombow Mono Multi. I did think about, I could have popped these up with some foam tape, that sort of thing, really create a fun dimensional scene. But I decided for once to keep it a little more simple. I even considered I was going to add sequins to this, and I didn't. I think some of you were totally shocked, but I didn't. I kept it simple, and this is a nice flat card. You could easily pop it in the mail. You don't have to pay anything extra for postage. So that's it. My OCD is now appeased. The video is done. As always, the links will be below the video to my blog post, links to all the supplies I use, so check that below if you're interested. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye.